Drew, it's smiling at me.
I'm not going to cut her head off.
Okay.
To satisfy you.
I mean, we're the Cobra Island Studios has been a work in progress since we've returned to doing this.
Yes.
Now it seems we have a gypsy.
We have a GPC. That's correct.
All right. Well, okay. Stuff happens.
Pictures will be posted on the
so people know what we're talking about. All righty, folks.
Hi.
The office is open again. Our appointment is scheduled. We're here for our hour of therapy. Welcome
Something
to
Matt Murdock would never do.
Welcome to another exciting episode of The Devil's Due.
Be a much different comic and show if Matt would just go to therapy.
It really would.
And
so
not put
many
on
comics,
a costume and beat the crap out of people.
Would be different if
Bruce, buddy, just go to therapy. It's okay.
Just talk.
You don't have to put a bat costume on and
just talk it out.
Beat up, poor mentally ill people. It's kind of messed up.
It's like I've said about
Bruce, you can't keep doing this.
Yeah. It's like I've said about Cobra Kai. It's such a great show and I love it. But 98% of the problems in the show could be resolved if people just took a moment to just talk
it out.
You don't got to throw a punch there.
No.
Yeah. Punch with your mind, not with your fist.
That's life advice, really. Yeah. Anyway.
I am your host, Carl Duty. With me, as always, is the man who, frankly, has lost his episode naming privileges after last week, Mr. Drew Celestino.
The hell did I do?
You named the episode The Learning Tree, Drew.
I did. I'm sorry. It was too good. But, Carl, as someone who has been in the podcast game for about 15 years, I know a thing or two about podcast titling, and I went for the low-hanging fruit. Thanks, guys. I should, just to put a point on that, I just want to make something known. I am a recovering Jerichoholic, as it were. Chris Jericho was, bar none, one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day when he was peak, late 90s, early 2000s. And I still I will regard him as definitely one of the greatest of all time. In the conversation with some of the greats, I think Chris Jericho has more than earned his benefit of the doubt to be in that discussion for how many times he has reinvented himself and maintained his place at the top and gotten stuff over. So I'm a Chris Jericho, the professional wrestler, goated in this house. Chris Jericho, the man, the person. Boy, oh boy, is it one of those situations where I wish I did not know anything about this person outside of what I know about him in wrestling.
Yeah.
So I have to you know what? If you want to tell me that you hate Chris Jericho, it's not going to take too much to get me to go yeah, me too. Because, oh boy, him and his wife, they're what you might call very fine people. And I'm air quoting here, and I'm using those words very intentionally.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Chris Jericho, the man. Chris Jericho, the pro wrestler. I mean, again, he's done it all, and he's made it work. And
you've done it all, Chris. Now it's time to go away.
You've done it all. Please leave.
Yes. Why is it, do you think? Because, say what you will about wrestling, you cannot deny the physicality of it.
No.
Why is it, do you think, that pro wrestlers have such a hard time retiring and staying retired as opposed to other athletes?
Because in regular athletics, Carl, the point of physical deterioration catches up to you. And the people that pay you won't pay you anymore because you can no longer do the thing.
Yep.
In wrestling, your ability to do the thing can be mitigated and protected. You might not be able to do the thing as well, but you can still kind of do the thing, and with the right dance partner, look way better than you might actually be. Therefore, you're valuable longer, let's say. So that just gives you an excuse to linger around longer.
Gotcha.
And your character and your value, as it were, is extended beyond what your physical capabilities might be.
Okay, that works for me.
It's like if all your favorite football players, well past their expiration date, suited up for a game, like, and let's pretend that the score didn't matter, or that they could go out there and, if you squint, look like you remember them being at their peak, so long as the other team plays along. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Okay.
That's wrestling.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but also I think in the case of why wrestlers might not be self-aware enough to know, like, hey, look, I can't do it anymore. I've lost a step. Or I can't even do the character stuff justice anymore. I'm just clogging up the airwaves, sort of, Chris Jericho, in other words. I think there's something to be said for just the love of the limelight. I mean, it's popping a crowd is exciting, and it's once you start doing it, you don't want to go away. You know what I mean? And that, wrestling, it's not just wrestling. Hollywood, same way. When you're a star, you want to stay a star. You want to keep people. It's nice to have people cheer for you. We don't know what that's like, but it's nice.
Hey, you've been in a band and played concerts.
I miss it.
People cheered for you.
Then I watch people go away, and now it's kind of like, what am I going to do?
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do tonight.
Yes.
We're going to have an interesting philosophical discussion and ponder the question, a question of what if. But before we get to that, we have listeners who must be appeased. Listeners who were kind enough to answer the call that was put out earlier today. I just checked before we recorded. We did not receive any emails at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com. I'm totally fine with that. That's cool. I like it when they respond to the socials.
It's encouraging, especially given that you just did it a few hours ago, and we already have stuff.
We got 3 responses. We've got our first one from Mr. John Fiden. Question for Drew. Screw me, apparently.
Yeah, well, we were all thinking it.
Fair.
I'm kidding.
Would you ever consider performing or making an album of another genre of music?
I mean, what does that mean exactly?
It means, would you ever consider performing or making an album of another genre of music?
I mean,
it's a pretty straightforward question.
Well, genre is a tricky, nebulous thing. I think what the implication is, like, historically, I am a very heavy metal band guy, right?
You like your metals, you like them heavy.
I do, but, to be honest, I mean, I played in a band that did that for a long time, and I still lean in that way. Like, when I pick up a guitar, I generally am inclined to, like, just kind of riff out and play in that direction. It's what I know how to do. But in terms of what I listen to, like, my palette is broader than you might think. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and, like, bust out an album of disco and funk, even though I have a real soft spot for disco and funk and I love it. But I can't play it. I couldn't write it if I tried. I wouldn't know how. My physical being is just not wired in the way that would allow me to do it. Honestly, I would probably, like, try and realize that I'm completely, I don't know. I would feel too self-conscious about it to, like, take it seriously. And I can't do this. Right. But so, yeah, forget about that. But then, like, you're never going to get the Drew Country Western album. Cause spoilers, I loathe few things in life I loathe more, Carl, than country music.
Would you say like that pertains mainly to, like, modern country music and not like, You're not down with any like Johnny Cash or
I like Johnny
some
Cash just
classic
fine.
Willie
Yeah, the classic
Nelson.
stuff's all right,
Okay.
but you get into the modern country parlance, and it's just
Yeah.
miss me with all of this.
Yep.
And it should be noted, for the record, that there are more arrests for drunken disorderly conduct and domestic violence and violence, period, at Darien Lake for these big country shows than at any heavy metal concert they've ever had. Ever. Just put that on the record.
Wait a second. Are we supposed to be keeping a record of this?
I just want that known. Just saying.
Reminded of the episode of Batman the Animated Series when Batman is put on trial in Arkham and Joker's the judge. And his lawyer says, I want that check for the record. Joker's like, record? Is someone supposed to be writing this down?
Having said all of that, I will say that I have new music like written. I mean, half, 3/4 written, and some of it is what you might expect it to sound like from me, given the Long Cold Dark discography. And the other side of it is not that at all. And that's very intentional. So, another genre, I mean, I guess if you mean outside of the strictly groove metal sort of thing that I've done for a long time. If you want to get into more of a alternative industrial-esque kind of metal vibe or even punk vibe, yeah, I kind of got that going on. I'm open to it. If things pan out, well, I shouldn't say this, but in my wildest dreams, Carl, when I have time to do these things, the next show I would perform on a stage would not be with the Long Cold Dark. It would be as whatever the heck this next phase is for me musically, and it would be a very different vibe.
Because I know I've spoken to you a lot in the past because the creative process of artists, regardless of what their medium is, always fascinates me. And I've always talked to you, especially about like, you know, what comes first, the music or the lyrics. And traditionally, you've always said like the music comes first and the lyrics are almost, at least for what you're trying to accomplish, the lyrics are almost secondary.
Yeah.
And just kind of, they're there because you need them. Has there ever been like a point where you've had like something where you say, listen, there's something I want to say with a song and the lyrics have come first, or you felt that the lyrics don't necessarily fit what your traditional style of music is?
No, it's always music first. I will always do the music first and foremost because the music sets the vibe. You know, like it kind of sets the emotional barometer of where we are. And based on that, I can write about whatever I want lyrically. So, you know, it's always going to be vibe based before it is like theme words based.
Okay.
For me, that is not.
Yeah.
Other people have different ways of working, and I hey man, whatever works for you.
Okay.
My process by no means is the process because my process is, you know, slow and probably broken. So, you know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
John, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
For Drew.
Hope to see you on a stage again someday. Fingers are crossed.
Mr. Adam Williams comes in with our next question. What if, he's following the prompts of the show, what if the Bills win the Super Bowl, but the Sabres must be sold and moved for this to happen? I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to say no as well.
Yeah,
and that's
because you know why? I'll go to a Sabres game anytime.
Yeah,
it would take a lot for you to get me to go to a Bills game because it's not just a cost thing.
It's a time investment, dude.
I've been to 2 Bills games.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. And I've gone with friends and they've done the whole tailgate thing.
Sure.
And it's just like, I don't get it. Like
I get it.
You go there You start drinking at whatever a.m.
Yeah.
You start eating food at what that you normally wouldn't be eating at that time, whatever a.m. And you just house these things for like 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then you go into the stadium. You're either, and this isn't everybody I've gone with, but this is a lot of people who are there.
You're feeling toasty.
You're
Feeling
either
good.
half drunk or fully drunk. And then you're having to go to stadium bathrooms, which, no thank you.
Not a fan of the trough, huh?
And then, like, you're so
Sink is fair game.
mind-blowingly blasted that you don't even remember the game. Like, it's just, I don't like being sardined in with people. I don't like frat boys, and I don't like drunk people.
You're gonna have a bad time at a professional football game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with everything you just said. I would love for a Bills Super Bowl win in my lifetime. It'd be fantastic. I would love it. And you know what? I've said this before to people, and I think they don't believe me, but I believe it about myself. If that ever happens, I can check out of as an invested follower, fan, if you will. Even though I get nebulous about that term because there's degrees to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I would be done. Like, we did. Hey, I've always wanted them to do the thing.
They did
the thing. I'm good. I can officially say,
Quote Metallica, nothing else matters.
Hey, there you go, man. So that would be great. But at the same time, at the expense of no longer having a professional hockey team in Buffalo, I would be kind of gutted.
Yeah.
So here's a weird thing. If you were to ask me,
and hockey games are just more fun to watch.
A hockey game in person is awesome. You get to see things in a way that TV doesn't show. You might say that about a football game as well, but in my experience, I don't know, man. A football game live is weird. I think TV is the perfect avenue for football.
Right.
And hockey, I think seeing it live is the perfect way to see it.
Yeah.
You can see things develop and see the speed of the game, number one,
right.
up close and personal, and the way plays develop, the way things happen when you see a hockey game live, it's so much different. If you were to ask me the inverse, that you could guarantee me that the Buffalo Sabres would win a Stanley Cup, but the monkey paw curls, and that means the Buffalo Bills are sold and moved, I would take it.
I think I might too.
I would take it. A Stanley Cup win would mean more to me personally than a Bills Super Bowl win. I don't know why. There is something about the Stanley Cup that's like I would love to see that happen.
I mean, personally, I think it's harder to win the Super Bowl.
Probably.
Like,
yeah. You got to win 16 games.
Yeah.
It's a second season, effectively.
Yeah.
It's like if the playoffs were another 17 games.
Yeah.
So,
and
you know,
playoff hockey is just the best
kind of
playoffs
is
of all sports.
Kind of is.
Okay.
Cool question, though.
Adam, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Next, I suppose we're going to answer these.
We don't have to.
No, it's Jay.
You're still carrying on the feud here. Kay Fabian over here. All right.
I mean, you know.
So wait, Carl, are you saying that the door is going to have to be forbidden to Jay in a couple weeks when the pay-per-view happens?
Hey, Jay's got a streak going to pay-per-views. He's been
does.
at 2 in a row.
He's like the Taker now. He's got a streak to it. Let's not Lesnar him now. You just want him to keep coming. Maintain the streak. Jay Gelsomino.
Jay Gelsomino.
Give it to me.
Drew and Carl.
Hi.
What if DC was sold off to Disney since WB seems like a dumpster fire? A dumpster fire of bad ideas. I've been wanting this for a long time, not for DC to be sold to Disney per se, but to be sold to someone who actually would do something with them. Like, I mean,
Carl, they are doing something with them.
Yeah, I mean,
but I hear Yeah. Your point is taken.
It's like, I mean, Warner Brothers wants like film and stuff. They don't care about the comics and whatnot. So okay,
no, Disney too.
Give Warner like distribution. Like they'll still all be air quotes Warner Brothers films.
Yeah,
but like you do it all yourself. Do it all independently. Take your writers off the chains and let them actually create. Although and I can't say this for certain because it's been a hot minute since I've been reading monthly comics. From what I understand, DC creatively has kind of been on upswing the past couple of years.
What does that even mean? I don't
know. So yeah, I wouldn't want Disney to.
No, they got enough on their hands.
They got enough.
Yeah.
But I would want someone to do it.
I follow you. I would my only thing I can really follow that up with is to say Marvel did almost buy DC.
Yep.
Look into that, folks. You can Google it. In the late 70s, early 80s, I believe.
Yeah.
It almost happened. For real. Like, I'm not just hypothetical. No. It was being talked about. It was going to happen until it didn't. And boy, oh boy, would things in our world be different if that had happened.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that would look like, but boy, would it be different.
I think they would probably try to bring it all together in one universe. And
of course they would.
That just wouldn't work.
Well, hang on.
You can have the fun crossover every once in a while, but like
here's the thing, Carl. We say it wouldn't work because all we know is these two things being separate. If this had happened in the early 80s before you or I ever picked up a comic book, and all we knew was the integrated universe, as it were, we wouldn't know any different.
Yeah, that's fair.
But boy, oh boy, what a different world we'd be living in.
Drew.
Hi.
What if AEW was forced to shutter its doors immediately?
Like Dunzo.
Yep. Done.
Then I'm back to watching 2 wrestling shows a year, not for the actual wrestling content, just because I want to hang out with my friends. I would be pretty much, and I would keep up on outside stuff. I would, what's going on at NJPW? What are they doing? Is Dominion worth watching this year? What day's the Dome? I'll watch the Dome show. But how's the card? I'm back to that, which is pretty scattershot.
Yeah,
lover of the thing, but not a lover of the big product of the thing.
You wouldn't just swing full CMLL?
No. I've seen CMLL. It's not my lucha stuff. Just isn't my speed.
But what if it's underground lucha stuff?
Well, that's different.
Oh, lucha underground.
It was too pure for this world, Carl.
Too pure. All right, Carl. What if the only way to save your family was to watch one soccer match? Almost got Drew to do a spit take.
I'm okay. I knew it was coming too. I knew, and I still got me.
I would find a way to replace my family with Jay's.
Wow. Okay.
So then that way it'd be easy for him to save them because he likes watching 4-hour.
It's like an hour and a half, dude.
Sporting events where 0-0
it's like an hour.
Is not only acceptable but common.
It's not that, dude. It's literally like an hour and a half. The clock never stops.
Yeah, but then they go into this nebulous extra time where you don't know how long it is.
It's not that long. I don't even like soccer, and I know it's not that long.
Yeah. That's so big, ball so small. How do you miss? We're not talking about exhaust port 2 meters wide. We're talking about throwing a pop can in the Grand Canyon. How do you miss?
I'm glad you broke it down into terms that we can understand. Exhaust port.
All I'm saying is Aliaga 2. Baliaga.
Infuya.
Oh, boy.
High kicking, low scoring, and ties.
Oh, man. Mario Strikers, though, fun game.
Great game, a video game form. It's like how I feel about golf.
No. I said Mario Strikers. I didn't say like FIFA. I don't want to play FIFA.
Well, I don't want to play Tiger Woods PGA 24 either, but give me Golf Story. I'm in, dude.
Hot Shots Golf.
There you go. Yeah.
Mario Golf.
There you go. Real golf? Ask me how I feel. This is a different show. Ask me how I feel about golf sometime and golf courses. But I digress.
Yeah.
I digress. Moving on.
So that's it for our questions.
That's it? Oh,
yeah,
man.
that's it. Hey, dude.
Thought we had more.
Tight. Keeping it tight.
Okay. Keep
So
it tight.
we have, before we get into our main topic of conversation today, we have two notable newsworthy stories.
We do?
This is more in my orbit than yours.
Okay. Take it away.
Two things. So, two stories, each one about a game that I love passionately. One story, unexpectedly awesome. The other story, expectedly unfortunate. Should we start with the bad or the good?
Which one's going to invoke more conversation? I don't know.
I don't know.
Go with your heart.
We'll start with the bad.
There you go. Yes, you would.
Yes.
You would.
Yes. It's kind of like being Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3.
Carl,
power.
I'm going to have to ask you to...
Feels good.
Given that we have switched roles, as it were, I'm going to need you to just go strict goatee to indicate your evilness now that we have now switched chairs.
No, I'm kind of liking classic Dax.
Well, he's going to be out for a while, so you might as well inherit the chops.
Yeah. Okay, so
do it.
For almost as long as we've been doing this show, I have been playing, and speaking of my love of a miniatures tabletop miniatures game called X-Wing. I've got into this game and found a community of amazing players, a lot of fun, and we've enjoyed the game. The game has received a 2.0 upgrade in the past, so they kind of retooled the game when it was desperately needed. At some point, many of the board game companies that we know and love are under the umbrella of the company called Asmodee, which essentially buys smaller board game companies to facilitate distributing of their board games. So at some point prior, I believe it was a short time prior of the pandemic hitting, Asmodee moved the development of the Star Wars miniatures games, X-Wing, Armada, which X-Wing deals with like X-Wings, TIE fighters, so on and so forth.
Dog fighters.
Armada is like Star Destroyers,
the big
Nebulian frigates. Ships. Yeah. Legion, which is like a massive ground battle game. Think like Warhammer, but with Star Wars. Moved them from Fantasy Flight Games, who had created, developed, and fostered the games along, under the umbrella of a company called Atomic Mass Games. Atomic Mass Games had created a game called Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is like a skirmish game, not unlike X-Wing. Because they had success with that, they moved them. The reasons why the moves were made were unclear. So X-Wing essentially, and these other games essentially became an Atomic Mass Games game, and they were maintaining the game and releasing the product. They had a backlog of product that Fantasy Flight had developed for them that they were releasing and going through. They made some changes to the game, some of them which were very much needed. Scenario play, adjustments to how initiatives in the game were done and points in the game were done. Also, a lot of the changes they made were not met with a lot of praise. And some of the changes, ultimately, some of the changes were good. A lot of changes were bad. And so I'd say maybe about 2 years ago, there started to be longer and longer time between releases. And basically, long story short, they went through the product that had been pre-developed by Fantasy Flight Games. And then there was just like a long drought of nothing, no news or anything. And unfortunately, this past week on Thursday, Atomic Mass Games announced that X-Wing and Armada were no longer in active development.
Both of them.
Both of them. So the games are, for all intents and purposes, dead from a developer standpoint. So the games are essentially ending. They're not making any more stuff. They're supporting tournaments up until the next World Championship in 2025. Once that's done, like, they are completely done and out. Now, this is something that the community has kind of figured was coming, but is still really disappointing to hear. Because this is a game that was released in 2012, so it's had a very good run. The X-Wing gaming community that I am part of, unfortunately, life being what it is, haven't been able to get out there for a little bit now, but I still consider myself part of the community, has in a lot of ways shifted to the Star Wars Unlimited trading card game. This is considerably before this announcement was made. There were many in the community that were kind of out on X-Wing before it happened. So, but like, the official announcement was made, and so now the question is, what happens next with those of us who are still out there playing the game? Many people are just trying to organize streamers and things like that to kind of cobble together a governing body of the game made up of players. Personally, I don't think they'll necessarily work. I think what's going to happen is the game is going to become a very regional game. Like, the way the game is played in, like, the Northeast is going to be different than the way it's played in the Southwest. So I see the game continuing, but the way the game is played being very splintered. But that's fine. It's unfortunate, but again, it was expected. I'm not necessarily sad that it's ending, more that I'm happy that it happened. So it's one of those things.
Bummer.
Yeah, bummer. But expected. All right, so pour one out for X-Wing.
As you do the ceremonial pour out. Very nice.
Ceremonial. Okay, so now on
good news.
Now on to the good news.
Okay.
The other game that I love and am passionate about, Street Fighter VI, announced its Season 2 slate of downloadable characters that are going to be coming out over the course of the next year.
Come on, Dan.
Year being from June to June. Unfortunately, no Dan, but huge shocker.
You guessed it.
Of
Frank Stallone.
There are 4 total characters. First 2 are Street Fighter alums. M. Bison, who's, it was Tuesday. And then then another character, Elena, who was introduced in Street Fighter 3 and then was brought back in Street Fighter 4. But the other 2 characters are guest characters. Terry Bogard.
Eddie Bogard.
And Mai from the Fatal Fury game franchise.
If you were to give me a guess as to what characters from the Fatal Fury franchise would ever have this opportunity, I could get to Mai and Terry Bogard very quickly.
Yes. So this is
no love for Geese. What the hell?
Geese was in Tekken 7.
I mean, there's some that's there. Yeah. There you go. Yay, Geese Howard.
So this is unprecedented. Now,
is it though?
It is.
Well, in a mainline Capcom game, you're saying it's unprecedented.
Well, not even a mainline Capcom game, because there are people probably out there saying, Carl, there are guest characters in fighting games all the time. Yes, there is. But not in Street Fighter.
That's what I meant.
mainline Capcom games. So Capcom fighting games. They've done games with SNK in the past, who's the company who owns Fatal Fury and the Terry Bogard and the Mai characters. They've done, obviously, crossover games with Marvel. These have all been, though, outside the purview of the mainline Street Fighter game. The mainline Street Fighter game has had characters in it from other in-universe games.
Capcom games.
Yeah.
Final Fight characters.
Final Fight,
mainline.
Rival Schools, things like that. But never something from an outside company. And whereas this practice is not uncommon in other fighting games, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Soul Calibur, it's never happened in a Street Fighter game. This is a very big surprise.
Let me just quantify that statement. Mortal Kombat's never had other fighting game characters in their game either. But they do have outside guest characters as kind of a thing in the last decade or so.
Yeah.
Like Freddy Krueger and
characters.
Jason Voorhees. Guest characters are not foreign to Mortal Kombat, but in the mainline game, like in the way you're explaining Street Fighter 6 to me, like they're canonically adding Terry Bogard and Mai to Street Fighter. Kind of.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, see, like Mortal Kombat would never we're canonically adding, Killer Instinct characters because sure, that's never happened. But that is interesting. I wonder how that came about. That's weird. It's cool, but it's weird.
I mean, there were kind of rumblings of this. A couple of years ago, they re-released one of the Neo Geo Pocket SNK Capcom collab games.
Yeah.
It was like a card battling game. You have to understand, there's a whole bunch of history behind this, and the SNK Capcom relationship, from what I understand, ended very poorly first time around. So they came out with a couple games, and then something happened, and it just ended. Capcom is normally very protective of the Street Fighter, the main Street Fighter game line.
Sure.
It's
the golden goose. Yeah. They don't want to mess with it. I get
Which is why, normally when you have crossovers like this, it's in a separate game.
Sure.
Marvel versus Capcom.
Right.
Street Fighter cross Tekken.
Yeah, right.
SNK versus Capcom, so on and so forth. So them doing this is just very... It's unprecedented for Street Fighter, even though there's precedence in other fighting games for guest characters to make an appearance.
In our life, Carl, will we ever see Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat?
In the age we live in, I'm reticent to say never. I believe of the game crossovers, it is one of the most unlikely. There's a couple reasons for this. One, Mortal Kombat, especially modern Mortal Kombat, is very tough to work into other fighting games that are not accustomed to the violence and gore that Mortal Kombat has.
Yes, that is a factor.
Because, if you remember the really bad DC versus Mortal Kombat game.
Was it bad, or was it just the presentation was bad?
Bad.
Okay.
I played it. It was bad.
Okay.
DC was you can't have them doing stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one barrier of entry. The other barrier of entry is just just gameplay engine.
Well, you can work around that. You collaborate. You can figure something out.
There's when you have games that are somewhat similar. You wouldn't think Tekken and Street Fighter are similar in their gameplay styles, but they're not actually that different when you break it down. But something like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter is very, very different.
They could make it work.
They could make it work, but the problem is then, how are they making it work? Are they making it work in that the Street Fighter characters feel like Mortal Kombat characters, or vice versa? The reason the Street Fighter Cross Tekken worked is because they found that balance. And that balance is able to be found because the fight engine of the two games is not 100% similar. Whereas the fight engine of like something like a Mortal Kombat to a Street Fighter is very dissimilar. Like Alan in our chat brought up Killer Instinct in Mortal Kombat. Like that wouldn't work because again, the fight engines are so built on like separate philosophies that it wouldn't necessarily like you can do it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to feel like a new thing. It's just going to feel like it's either going to feel like a Mortal Kombat game or it's going to feel like a Killer Instinct game. And in that case, the Mortal Kombat characters, if it feels like a Killer Instinct game, the Mortal Kombat characters aren't going to feel like Mortal Kombat characters. They're going to feel like Killer Instinct characters that are just wearing a Mortal Kombat skin. And when you're doing a crossover like that, that's not the goal. You want it to feel like they are from their game, but they're just happen to be in this game.
I would just want it to be fun. I'm picking up what you're putting down, but in the end, like, just make it fun. And if we could find a fun middle ground, then it could be done. Make it happen.
Yeah, but see, then you're wanting Mortal Kombat to be fun. Mortal Kombat hasn't been fun in a good long time.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
See, you're me, but Street Fighter. See?
Yeah, I'm you, but the best fighting game franchise ever then maintains that title to this day.
If I can't tear a man's heart out, Carl, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's okay.
Yep. Sorry.
All right.
Man of soul pleasures, Billy. I want to rip a man's still beating heart out of his chest. And in latter games, possibly eat it.
Yeah, in latter games, you can rip a heart out of its chest, put it in a blender, shoot it into orbit, into the sun. Like you can.
Yeah, we can do all that. Why not?
Where's the artistry gone in the fatalities?
I will back you on that. I know you're being facetious, but
I'm being serious. Like
I get you. They're
now it's just gore and blood for gore and blood's sake.
It always kind of was, but there was
still
an artistry
like a
to
method
it.
to the madness and an artistry to it. And like you look at Mortal Kombat 2, 3.
No, 3. Sorry, let me stop you right there. You look at 1 and 2. Chef's kiss. They knew what they were doing. The nuance was there. 3 comes around. We're off the rails. I don't know if we ever got back on.
I think the early versions of 3 were still on the rails, but once they got into like the later versions
they weren't.
and started adding,
I promise they were not. I'm.
we'll
okay.
simply agree that you're right. I'm wrong.
Let me quantify what I'm saying. This I can make a cinematic equivalent. This could make an interesting show topic if we wanted to really pull the thread. Do you know how like you go see you've seen a movie or a TV show that you really love? And you love it, and it's like you're really passionate about it. They're making a follow-up to it, sequel or a show based on the movie, something, some kind of follow-up content. This could be a book too. I don't care what it is. Comic book, same thing. And on the surface, like it's yes, I can't wait. You're amped up for it. You get it in your hands, and it looks like the thing, and you're following, and you like it, but in your heart. You just know something is you know what, something's just off about this. I don't know what it is exactly, but something's off about this. Yeah, that's Mortal Kombat 3 in a nutshell. Like the hype was real. It played like Mortal Kombat, but it's got some new wrinkles to it from 2, but there's something's just a little weird about it, and like I don't know. Yeah. What are we doing? What? Wait. Why are the robots now? Like what? That you know.
Why are the robots now? I just love that. Mortal Kombat 3. Why are there robots?
Why are there robots now?
So yeah,
Roman ninjas. Where are they?
Very excited for all of this.
Well, cool.
Yeah,
hey.
Excited to see where this goes. So. That being said, let's get into our topic of conversation.
46 minutes in. Let's get into our topic of conversation.
Well, it's after editing.
Sorry, 43.
Okay, so this kind of spins out from a conversation you and I were having pre-games last week, where, in a nutshell, we pondered the question, what if Disney had not bought Lucasfilm?
Yeah.
So we cast our minds...
Star Wars, casting such a big shadow over our lives.
Cast our minds back to 2012. Not a lot going on in a galaxy far, far away. Clone Wars animated show is in between seasons. And then the story comes out that Disney has bought Lucasfilm, and they have decanonized everything except the 6 theatrical release films, the Clone Wars, and the Rebels show. Everything else has been decanonized, and they are moving forward with a new trilogy of films set after the classic trilogy of films. Oh, for simpler times. So, we kind of all know what's...
We know where we are now.
We know where we are now. But the question of what if... where do we think Lucasfilm / Star Wars would have gone if Disney had not purchased them? Now, stories have come out since then that apparently Lucas was in development of a new trilogy meant to be set as episodes 7, 8, and 9. A supposed treatment for this trilogy... Ooh, George was going weird places.
I mean,
George, there was like, you know how like there's that line where you're like, that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. Then you kind of approach line and go over it, and you're like,
yeah, I saw the prequels. I lived through it.
Let me kind of see you cook here. What are you gonna do? It was like so far fetched.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was going like biological. Like it was going to be like a story of the Metachlorians, like quadrupling down on the thing that everyone hated about the prequels.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like it was going microscopic. It was very weird.
It was Quantum Mania in a galaxy far, far away.
Wow.
Hopefully not with the
let's roll
same quality results. So,
well, let me ask you. Okay, so the what if?
Yeah.
Do you think? Well, 7, 8, and 9.
Right.
First question: do you think George would see that through and actually get all 3 made? Would he himself make all 3 after the experience he had making the prequels and all of the emotional fallout he had from making the prequels?
I think he may
Big
have...
question I just tossed at you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think he probably would have done the first one.
Okay.
And then handed off the reins for 8 and 9. I think Spielberg probably would have done one of them.
Okay.
Because there was all like he wanted Spielberg
yeah.
for Jedi and ended up with very much not Spielberg.
Follow-up question. Yeah, he did it himself.
Well, Richard Marquardt.
He was there. If you want... Well, no, never mind. We'll get back to that in another conversation. Okay, following that up. If he makes that first one, 7, whatever it is, and this is unknowable, but I'm just kind of going by the vibes of circa 2010.
Yeah.
George his rep has taken a hit as a result of the prequels. Fandom is kind of, I don't know, man. I feel like things were we almost long for these simpler times at this point. But things were kind of in a post-prequel shrug, as it were. In my opinion,
yeah, there wasn't really much of anything. Like, yeah, there were like collector's toys and things like that, but like there in the occasional video game, but like there wasn't a lot. It wasn't like the blackout period from 85 to 97.
Not exactly, but I feel like there was no clamoring for more.
Right. I think
because
we were
the prequels
like,
kind of salted the earth a little bit.
We figured we all kind of figured we weren't going to get any more films.
Well, I kind of feel like we didn't want any more films if George was at the helm.
See, I still would have been open.
Yeah, that Stockholm Syndrome hurts.
It's not Stockholm
It's still,
Syndrome.
hey, I'm 25 years into this, buddy. I know what Stockholm Syndrome is. I'm in it myself. We still talk about it, even though the majority of this content I can do without. But I'm still here. Please, sir. May I have another, sir? Please.
I think in
I'm guilty.
I think if you find the middle ground in how you think of George Lucas and how I think of George Lucas, you have the truth.
No, I'm pretty set that my version is the truth.
Of course.
Hey, I've done my homework. I know what's going on behind the scenes over there. So having said all that, he makes a movie.
Right.
Again, this is purely unknowable. What do you think the response to this is? Knowing the fandom, then try and take your fandom mentality back.
Right.
Not that it's changed that much, to be honest with you. How does that fandom react to this wild, insane concept that he spitballed? And what do you think George could actually deliver?
This is going to sound like a cop-out answer and kind of weird, but there's precedence for it. I think it all depends on the first trailer.
Well, Phantom Menace proved that.
Yeah, because like when you think back to the first trailer of Phantom Menace,
we were hype.
We were supremely hyped. We are hit with all this imagery of things that were new yet familiar. And like,
KEW cool.
Yeah. We're like
Darth Maul fires up the lightsaber and
we're like,
sold.
okay, let's go. And then you fast forward and think of the first trailer for Force Awakens. When you got like the Millennium Falcon exploding onto the screen, something you haven't seen or never thought you would ever see again.
Take my money.
You're all there for it. So I think it all depends on what that first trailer is. I think depending on what he wanted to do with the story and whatnot, if you throw up a trailer on there that has Han, Luke, and Leia in it.
Okay, go on. Sorry, go on.
If like best case scenario, you throw up a trailer on there, it's got Han, Luke, and Leia in it. We're in business and we're rolling. Fandom is fully bought in. If you throw a trailer up there, it doesn't have them in it. I think fans are a little more trepidatious.
Yes.
And also depends on which fans we're talking about. Like at that time, we're in a time now where there's multiple generations of Star Wars fans. At that time, that second generation of Star Wars fans hadn't really come to the point where they're making their voices heard and really contributing to the conversations of the fandom. It was basically still just the 77ers.
Sure.
And the 77ers generally didn't like the prequels.
No.
So I think that if you're gauging just the reaction of like the 77ers, if it doesn't have like Han, Luke, and Leia in that first trailer and they're doing Star Wars stuff, I think they're like, there's going to be trepidation, there's going to be some eye rolling, and it all depends on what's being shown in there as to how much they buy into it.
Well, given that George's public comments in the wake of the Disney purchase and The Force Awakens, he was kind of lamenting and making disparaging comments about it being a sort of nostalgia piece and I don't think you would have gotten Han, Luke, or Leia. You may have got one of them, but not all three of them.
Well,
I think George was looking to go into wild places, and he would have committed the same sin that JJ committed, and he would not have put our trio of heroes on screen together again.
I've seen comments from Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford that George had approached them about another trilogy. So as far as to what form that would have taken, I don't know. But it would have been, I don't know. It's so, because like hindsight is so tricky, especially now. Because like, all right, let's break it down. Kind of look at, okay, what is good that we've gotten from the Disney acquisition? What is bad that we've gotten from the Disney acquisition? So what is good is, and some of these answers, there's going to be two sides of the coin too.
Yeah, you're not going to agree with all my takes. So
what is good is we've gotten more Star Wars in theaters.
Yes.
Which,
well,
two good film. Well, hold on. 4 good films.
Okay.
1 bad film.
Okay.
The experience of going to a theater to see Star Wars again.
Okay.
2 of the arguably best Star Wars films ever made. Rogue One, Last Jedi.
Fair. Yes, I said I like The Last Jedi. I hate Canto Bight, but I love the movie. Go on. Sorry.
So we got that. What else is good that we've got?
We got Mando out of it. Say what you will about the 3rd season of Mando.
We got the first and 3/4.
Yes.
The first and 98% of a season of Mando.
Yeah. And in defense
right.
of season 3, I mean, it's still fun. It's just the focus was lost.
Yeah. The story, season 3 was the story growing beyond its original design.
Yeah, right.
In a way it didn't need to.
Yes, agreed. We got Andor.
We got Andor.
And
the concept of Star Wars television. Does this ultimately fall into the good or bad category?
Well, let's break that down.
Because what we've gotten that's good, it's funny because like what we've gotten that's good has been really good.
Yeah.
What we've gotten that's not great, borderline bad.
Borderline bad. That isn't bad.
That's kind of one of those things. Star Wars on television kind of falls into it's a push category.
Yeah, I'm demonstrably shrugging right now. Like, well, you got Andor, but then you got over here we got all this. We got Obi-Wan over here doing this crap. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, yeah. I don't want to completely bury. I know it's popular in certain circles to bury the Disney Star Wars stuff, and it's not without merit. Like, look, I want to be excited by this stuff too, and I want it to make me feel like I'm 8 years old again as well. But there's too much of it, and there's no oversight. Like, there's just not enough. There's not enough control over this property to ensure that whatever we're putting out is true to the thing,
right? To
make us feel that way. There's just too much of it. There's just content for the sake of content being made, and I think that's the antithesis of art, folks. Like, whenever you want to get me started on the word content to begin with, I get tight because I don't like that word. You're not making content. You're making something that should make people feel something. That's not content. That's called art.
Right.
So, now it can be both things to degrees, but I think the art side should be the focus. You have something to say, and you want to present it in a clear and coherent and meaningful way to say it. Otherwise, we're just yeah, we're going to put this out because it fills the gap in the time slot. Like, well, bro, you're streaming now. There is no time slot.
Yeah.
Make a good thing.
Right.
You know?
I think that if we're looking at the bad things that have come from the Disney acquisition, you kind of alluded to it there. Star Wars no longer feels special.
No, it's just stuff.
Like getting a movie once every 3 years, there's something special to that. It's like not something you get all the time, and when you get it, you're amped for it, you're excited, and it's a special event. And, you know, it happens so frequently now, whether it's film or television. I mean, it's not even really film anymore, but just like television or content, video games, what have you. It's so frequent that it doesn't feel special anymore. And that's a really unfortunate thing. It's like, even going back to like when it was just like the 7, 8, and 9, it still felt special. Like, we're getting this thing, and this is all that we're getting. Like, yeah, there's some stuff around it, merchandise and whatnot, but this is what you're getting, and this is what it's going to be for a while. It no longer feels special. Disney, for some unknown reason that I could probably guess what the reasons are, but can't say for absolute certain, doesn't want to seem to focus on original trilogy. Like, when you look at something like the park, like, there's no Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Leia walking around the park that you can walk up to and meet. There's no Darth Vader at the park. It's Kylo Ren. It's like all very focused on the sequel trilogy stuff, which I don't understand. And a lot of...
let me... Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. You're right, but I understand their reasoning at the time those decisions were made. When they were building that park and developing all the stuff they were going to do there,
right,
the sequel trilogy was still very much the thing in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So they wanted synergy, basically. Like, I'm going to get marketing on you. They wanted synergy. They expected the kids to watch the new movies and want to see the new characters at the park. That's it. Like they wanted it to feel seamless. They wanted the thing to be canon. Like, they canonized the park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they had to kind of make that work. And as soon as you drop in legacy characters into that synergy, that canonical tie to what they're currently offering falls apart. I think in the ensuing years, since the park is open, they've heard that criticism, and now it's getting a little more nebulous. So, because originally they tied it so heavily to the sequel trilogy, well, next thing you know, the next hot property in Star Wars was not the sequel trilogy, it was The Mandalorian.
Right.
But because of, air quotes, canon, Mando couldn't just show up at Galaxy's Edge.
Right.
Well, I think it's taken them a minute, but they got that memo, and that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or if it's not happening already, it's going to happen. They're going to start making all of that kind of happen. Like, look, I'm all for immersion, and as someone who has been to Disney parks versus like Universal or whatever, the immersion is the thing. Like, Believe me, Disney parks are a cut above in the immersion department. But when I'm at the park, dude, I'm not worried about canon. Okay, you can tell me some writer they can hire can crap out a canonical reason that this Galaxy's Edge is some world between worlds. I'm Star Warsing here, Carl.
Yeah,
this is me Star Warsing, where time and space they do this in the Lego shorts, for God's sake. Just throw characters out there, and let a kid meet Luke, and in the same token, he can go meet Anakin.
Yeah.
And this is me saying that. I don't want to meet Anakin, but some kid does. God bless him.
Let the park be the toy box.
Yes, exactly. Just, whatever, man. You got multiple endings to Star Tours. That ain't canon. Like, whatever, man. There's 9 different runs of Star Tours, and they're all from different movies in a 9-film trilogy.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Relax. Just go to have fun.
Yeah. I think then going back to the original question, in the advent of the streamers, I think even if Disney had not purchased Lucasfilm, we would have some form of streaming Star Wars show.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have it as many as we have.
Not necessarily, no. George was looking into making a Star Wars show.
Yeah. For the longest time, that was like the leading rumor.
Yeah.
Up until the Star Wars purchase. Like, there is a live action Star Wars show.
I think
in
they
production.
shot stuff too. Like he
and
tried.
Like, it was going to be on like ABC or NBC or something.
It just came down to numbers. It was too expensive.
Yeah.
Now, does someone else that's not Disney take a chance on that and say, hey, look, these streaming... I mean, look at the streaming economics we have now, Carl. Like, Look at the way the landscape is. These dudes are, well, they're since recoiling. However, we have lived through a period of these companies were throwing money around to try and get these services going. Amazon or Netflix or whoever would have probably ponied up to get some of that sweet, sweet Star Wars had it not been Disney. So, I mean, look, Prime they're doing this Lord of the Rings show. Yeah. And I have friends that are Lord of the Rings fans. I am not, so I'm not trying to talk out of turn, but even they're just like, they don't care at all.
I enjoy it.
Okay, well, they care, but like they're not impressed. So I don't know.
So yeah,
my point being, someone would have spent money.
Yeah.
So
fun
what if? I don't know.
Yeah, wrapping up, I think
somebody would have gave George money.
If it hadn't been purchased, would we have gotten more Star Wars?
No.
Yes.
Well, more.
Would we have wanted the more Star Wars that we had gotten? We
would have gotten more. We would not have gotten this much more.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And it would also be in a very different form.
True.
And for everyone that laments the form it's in now, I don't know that you would have wanted the form that it would have taken had it not been in the form it's in now. I don't know. Yeah. It's impossible to say. But my gut says you did not want what was coming.
Right. I think this kind of all goes back to what we talked about the first couple. Either the first episode we were back or the second episode we were back. Just move the story forward.
We have a. I'm gonna tease. Whatever. We have something to talk about, and I'm gonna need notes. I'm gonna make notes. You're gonna hear me rustle papers like you ain't heard since J. Gelsomino's been on this show.
I mean, you could just say it'll be our next episode, and we just.
I'm not. No. This is gonna. I need Batman like prep. Okay, because what I'm gonna throw out there is something I've been thinking. The more of this we get, that's right, prep time. The more of this Star Wars stuff we get, the more it compounds. I'm telling you, I don't care how much you disagree with me. I'm ready for it. Let's talk reboot. Don't answer. Don't even think about it too deeply. I'm laying it on the table. We can talk about this later.
Okay.
But the more we go on, the more I'm like, this is irrevocably broken. We need to go back and we got to figure this out before we go forward again. So I'm gonna let that just lie there for a minute. There was a time in my life when I would have recoiled at this.
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my life now where I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Don't again.
I'm not pondering what
your scrunchy face is there.
No, I'm questioning myself if Disney came out and announced tomorrow, we are rebooting the entire Star Wars universe. Star Wars Episode 1 film coming out 2028.
Yeah.
Would you care? You personally, would you?
Yeah.
Would you care?
I would. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Burn it down.
Okay.
With an asterisk. My asterisk is, okay, Well, who's in charge? Show me. Again, I've laid a lot. I've laid this out there. I don't want to get too deeply into this because we're moving on past our. Let me see what time we're at here. We're well past our time. That's fine. This is a whole topic of conversation, I think, for an entire show. And I would actually, now that we're broaching the subject, if people have opinions on this, throw them at us on the socials and email or whatever, and we can dissect this issue in a larger format. I'm for it. I'm fine with it. But like, I am not opposed to this idea anymore. Like, let's make it happen. Let's figure out what we like about this thing, what we don't like about this thing, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, but we just live with because that was what it was for so long. All that stuff. And let's try again. No one's taking away the thing that you love already.
Right.
I've said this with comic adaptations and reboots before. It's still there. You can still go back and love it. Is it going to change? Yeah. But pick and choose what you love. Like, it's fine. You'll live. You'll be okay. I promise.
All right. Let's get JJ on the horn and make it happen.
You lost me already.
No.
Before we go on, I don't have my notes ready, but I don't even know who I would put in charge of this. Don't even ask me. Don't even write in to ask me who I want in charge. I don't know, but someone capable. Someone thoughtful. But fun.
But fun. Okay. I think that
we don't have to talk about this next week. I'm just saying.
I know. All right, cool. That doesn't our hour is up.
He mad. Oh, he mad.
I'm not mad. No, I'm not mad.
Okay. All right.
I'm just trying to think of who I'd want to do it, who I'd want to run it.
Don't even go that far. Like, there's no name that you or I are going to think of.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust the powers that be to know those things.
Yeah. And quick spoilers if anyone's wondering if we're going to talk about this week's episode of The Acolyte.
Sure. Not this week.
Neither one of us liked it.
Well,
to be continued.
But did we not like it for the same reasons? To be continued.
Yeah. Okay, folks, our hour on the couch is up. Even a little overtime. Yet again, the one who wants to keep the show tight is the one who's making it run longer.
Once you get me going, I just want to keep going.
All right,
I'm at the bottom third of my beer here. I'm just getting warmed up.
That's like
bro.
20 more minutes of show left in that glass.
It really is. It really is. But I digress.
What do you think the Switch 2 is going to be, Drew?
Hey, allegedly that new Direct is coming by the end of the month. So,
do you think that's the one where they announce it at?
No. Well, no.
Or do you think this will be?
I just did the meme in real time. The you know the one the girl with the was it what's the stuff called? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know the meme you're talking about.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, well, no.
So you're thinking this is the Switch 1 Swan Song Direct?
Yeah, this is please open up your wallet for the holidays.
Yeah,
Direct. And then we'll go from there.
Okay, cool.
But they're not going to nerf the holiday sales just yet. So, anyway.
Alrighty, folks. We appreciate you, as always, joining us. If you would like to reach out to us, you can do so at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com.
He remembered!
Yeah, I remembered. Or you can reach out to us on our Facebook page. We appreciate all of you who have been reaching out to us. Drew, any closing thoughts?
If you don't want to hit us up, well, there's a thought there. If there's another avenue that you want us to maybe be on, that if there's another avenue you want us to be on to avoid using Facebook, let us know.
We're not going on Twitter.
No, Twitter is gone, and I'm not for nothing, but Meta and Facebook they're not far behind in my personal viewpoint. So if there's a cool place where we can engage and not feel morally conflicted about it, hit us up. Let us know where that is, and we'll find a way there. Okay.
Twitch.
No. Having said that, it was suggested to us tonight to do a video stream. Go back a couple episodes where I said, don't tell anyone how I live. We're not ready for that yet, but we'll get there. Maybe. No one's going to watch us on Twitch, Carl.
I know.
Maybe if we were in a hot tub, we get hot tub Twitch.
Hot tub time machine?
No, but hot tub Twitch is a thing. I know that.
Okay.
Granted, we're not,
I got boobs.
Well, if you showed them more, maybe we can get some Twitch followers. Not to me. God damn it.
Hey, watch the language. Make a note. You got to edit that.
Do I, though? Who cares?
Yes.
No one cares.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to put my shirt back on. Yeah, that's right. You saw what a balding Wookiee looks like.
I thought that was an acolyte, but I digress.
No, he shaved his head.
Right, he shaved it.
Like a Kung Fu monk. Oh, give me that. Give me a Kung Fu Wookiee. Forget Jedi Wookiee. Give me a Kung Fu Wookiee. All right, folks, we're getting out of here. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. It's been another exciting episode of Devil's Due. Bye.